Good morning, Predicted Trades family. Hope everybody's doing well. We'll go ahead and day on into prep here. So looking at ES, we had our FOMC last week that we dumped into FOMC and they gave us the rug pull. And we got down to the daily 50, this purple line in the bottom of the daily squeeze. That's where we went long last week. We swung some SPY contracts, had a big old green Friday, and then Monday and Tuesday, as I told everybody in the room, market's probably going to be waiting on CPI. We made it back above our daily moving averages, our daily 15, this orange line, our daily 8, the blue, our daily 21, the white, and now all of those daily moving averages are stacked right at 4130 to 4136. We also have POC, point of control, sitting at 4136. All that to say, we have a ton of liquidity up at this level. And we're about to get CPI today. So there are two very likely scenarios. The CPI numbers come out, maybe they aren't favorable, and inflation's still an issue. And we see a dump away from this liquidity back down to the daily 50 and maybe even lower to fire this daily squeeze down. Or we maybe have a little pop above liquidity, have a little dip to it, and then take off to get back to recent highs. We got up to that 4180 to 4200, which are two key, a zone, a 20-point zone of resistance that has held us back on every drive up pretty much since October. If I come over here to my little daily chart and zoom in since October, each drive up gets pretty much up to this 4180 and dives back, 4200 dives back, 4180 dives back, 4200 dives back. And overall on the daily, we are just in a flag. We've got a strong double bottom on that flag. And, resistance at that 4180, 4200. So, as we have CPI coming out today, PPI tomorrow, we're going to get our reaction. I'd say if our reaction is a dump, but pre-market we hold this 4115 and we open up above it, chances are maybe more likely that we're not going to dump down to the daily 50. If the reaction is negative, we could dump straight through this 4115, reject it, and who knows, we could even open way down here at the bottom of this squeeze. In which case, we'd be a dramatic gap down, wait for it to base, and then play a partial gap fill. This 4115 very key, as you can see. We dumped back to it and bounced. When we got below it from FOMC, the overnight came up to reject it and then sent us to the daily 50. So overall, if we can stay above 4115, open above 4115 after CPI drops, could be a good sign for upside. But overall, we are right at liquidity. All of our daily moving averages are stacked in a 5-point range, and we have POC right there as well. So let's see what we get with CPI. We've got our targets above and below. If we start to give out, target down to 4115, 4100, and 4080, where the daily 50 is sitting pretty much at 4078. But if we can hold up above 4115, it's all about getting above 4136, 4140, 4150, and making that climb back up to that 4175, 4180, and then that trek up to 4200. Moving on, let's go to NQ. Definitely holding up much better than ES. well above its daily 21, daily 15, trying to hold the daily 8 right now at 13,230. Our pre-market low near 13,200. So if the reaction to FOMC is negative, we'll likely see a drop below this pre-market low, 13,200, and down to the daily 21 at 13,150. As long as we can hold up around this daily 21, or hold up above this daily 8 going into open, then we could get a bounce right back up. Liquidity sits at 13,287, sorry, POC, 13,287, which is kind of where pre-market highs are. So locally, let's just see if we can stay above 13,200. This daily 8, 13,230, and get through those pre-market highs and up through 13,300. And the upside targets would be 350, 370, and 400 up to the top of the daily squeeze. But if our reaction to FOMC is negative, to CPI is negative, we start to lose the daily 8 at 13,230. We want to target down to the daily 21, 13,150. Past that down to 13,100 and 13,000, kind of the low from last week. Any further past that, the daily 50 sits down at a key level 12,900-ish at the bottom of the daily squeeze. We just want to be prepared and have targets if we start to give out and depart away from POC and our daily moving averages that we are at to get down to the daily 50. Or if we keep holding up here and pushing against this daily squeeze top, we could start a nice bull run. We do need to keep in mind it's May, the whole sell in May and go away. We've seen some selling, right? Some. But we haven't seen that we've given out the daily 21 and started to really dive just yet. Moving on to the ready. Just stuck in this range between 1720 and 1780. Sitting pretty much right in the middle at 1750-ish. We do have our 2-hour squeeze. Sitting near yesterday's lows, overnight lows. Basically the 1745 to 1750. We start to lose that, then it'll be back down to 1735, 1730, 1720, and the bottom of this daily and 2-day squeeze. But if we could get a positive reaction to CPI, basically looking for ready to try and get back up through the daily 21 at 1767 and fight up to the daily 50 at 1788, which has caught up near our recent highs, all in the goal of getting up to that 1800. Moving on to YM. Today on YM, it's all about 33,500. If we can have our CPI reaction and stay above or open above 33,500, we should be using that as a base of support to play back up to our daily moving averages above. The daily 8 at 33,650, the daily 21 right there as well, 670, the daily 15 up at 33,750. And yeah, it's all about can we hold 33,500, get back above 33,800 to spell a trip back to 34,000 above and fire these squeezes to the upside. We start to lose 33,500. We'll be firing this 2-hour squeeze to the downside, and we want to target down to 33,300 where the daily 50 sits. 33,000 psych level and our low from last week. And 32,850-ish, let's call it, where the daily 200 sits. So some big key targets to the downside for YM. If our reaction is going to be negative to CPI, we have PPI tomorrow as well, 1-2 punch. That 1-2 punch could start to spell a bigger dip to something like the daily 200. Just thinking more over the next couple of weeks, over the rest of May. We have OPEX, I think, next week. Just all stuff to keep in mind. Now let's get through our individual tickers. Apple, great reaction to earnings, got up above 170, and has just kind of slowly been fading back, sitting at our key zone here at 171.31 and 172.11. Some key levels I have, just above 171, which is where our pre-market low sits. So let's see if we can hold all of that, basically hold above 171, push through 172 to get back to this week's high near 174, and key level near 175. We start to lose 171, we're going down to 170 where the daily 8 sits, and below 170, the daily 15 sits at 168, the daily 21 at 167. Targets to get back to if we have a drop, they are also pretty much where we were right before earnings. So it would be basically an earnings reset to get back to the daily 21 at 167. But let's see if we can stay above 171 and try to push for more. We definitely can. The third Keltner sits up at 176.5, so we have room to go to the upside. AMD, been very strong. Had its earnings last week, a negative reaction, and then psych, a big old positive reaction. And the gang in our room has just been milking AMD pretty much every day since last Thursday. Friday was a killer day, Monday was a killer day, and yesterday we just settled into this flag, getting up, trying to hold above 93.5, and topping out near this 96, near the top of this daily squeeze. So let's see if we can continue to hold above 93.5, 94 on AMD. As long as we can continue to hold there, trying to push through 96 and fire this squeeze up to 98 and 100, where the top of a 2-day squeeze sits around 101 to 103, up near our third Keltner. If we start to lose at 93.5, then you want to play back, basically just down to 90, where our daily moving averages sit, and where POC sits. Amazon. This big old crazy strong reaction, and then a drop back to 101, and then the slow climb back. Overall today, let's see if we can hold above 106 and pre-market low 105.75 on Amazon. If we start to lose that, then we're likely going down to 105, the bottom of a 2-hour squeeze, where the daily 8, daily 15 sit. If we start to lose 105, then it's down to 104, where the daily 21 sits. But if we can hold above 106 and start to push through 107, we'll fire this 2-hour squeeze to the upside to get back to 108, 109, 110, up in the top of the daily squeeze. Google got up and tapped 110 yesterday and then fell back. Overall, let's see if it can hold above 107, 107.5. Key little zone there. If we start to lose 107, then it's back to 106.5 where the daily 8 sits, and 105.5 where the daily 21 sits. But if we can stay above 107, start to take out 108, then it's another fight back up to 110 where we topped out yesterday, top of a daily and 2-day squeeze. Moving on, Meta. Had this big old reaction to earnings, held above 235 for quite a while till last Friday, slipping below. Now 235 seems to be resistance. Only dipped down to 230, so holding up really well. So as long as we can hold above 230 and looks like pre-market, we're already trying to push to 235. Looking to push through 235, 238.5, up to 240, and 245, where we topped out. We start to lose 230, then you want to target down to 225, where the daily 21 sits. Microsoft. Overall, looking for it to stay above 305, where the daily 8 sits. As long as we can hold there, looking for a climb back to 308, 310, 312, where we topped out. And if we could get through and fire this 4-hour squeeze to the upside, then it would be a play up to 315. But if we start to lose 305, you want to target down to 303. Should that start to give out, then it's back to 300. The daily 21 sitting down at 297. Netflix. Very strong this week. Took off from the daily 50 and 322 to get back up above 330. Looking pre-market like we're going to be opening near, well, we are currently near 331. Overall looking for 328.5 to 329 to be support at the bottom of this hourly squeeze. Should that start to give out, then it's back to the daily 21, 327, daily 8, 326.5, daily 15, 325, daily 50, 322.5. So plenty of targets to the downside if we start to give out. POC does sit down at 320, just meaning that point of control still sits back with last week's lows. And should the market give out, then we could easily fall back there. But we can hold above 330, looking to get up through that 335, 340, and up to the top of the daily squeeze at 345. Nvidia reports earnings later this month, I believe. Yeah, 5/24. Currently trying to hold above this 285. As long as we continue to try to hold that in yesterday's low near 284.5. Then you want to play back up to 288, 290, 292, where we topped out at the top of this daily squeeze. If we start to lose that 284.5, then it's back to the daily 8 at 282.5, psych level 280, and the daily 21 sits down at 276.5, the daily 15 at 277.5. QQQ. Pre-market low right around 320 with the daily 8. We can hold up here. Or open above here on CPI. Basically just looking to hold 320 and that daily 8 and make the fight back up through 322, through 323, 324 where we topped out on Monday. And a goal to get up to this daily squeeze top near 325, 327. But if we start to lose 320, then it's a play right back down to 318 where the daily 21 sits. Below that 318, then it's down to 316.25 near last week's lows. Should 315 start to give out, then it's back down to 312. The daily 50 sitting at 310.5. SPY. Trying to hold the daily 8, daily 15 here at 411. The daily 21 sits down at 410. Basically, as long after CPI drops, as long as we can stay above that 410, daily 21, these lower time frame squeeze bottoms. Then looking for SPY to make another climb back to 412, 414, and get through. But if we start to lose 410, have a negative reaction or more selling after CPI, then it's back down to 408, 405, and the daily 50 at 403.75, which is the low from last week, down at the bottom of the daily squeeze. Tesla made a nice recovery back to the daily 21, now trying to hold this key zone. So I like Tesla holding this zone and could set up a nice long into the end of the week. As long as we stay above 166, the daily 8 at 166.5. As long as we can hold there, looking to get back up to 170 where the daily 21 sits, get through to 175 where we topped out Monday pre-market, and then get up to 180 where the daily 50 sits. But if we start to lose 166, 165, then it spells dropping back to 160, 157.5 where we based last week. And VIX. So overall, if we're going to see more selling today, or a negative reaction to CPI, we're likely going to see VIX get push off of this daily 21 above 18, 18.5, fire this 2-hour squeeze up into this daily squeeze, and try to climb above 19, 19.5 where the daily 50 sits, and that psych level of 20 up in the top of this daily squeeze. That's if we're going to see more selling today and start to, fire 2-hour squeezes to the downside. ES gets back down to 4,100 or below. VIX is likely going to take off and fire squeeze to the upside. Get back to the daily 50 above. But if we can hold, have our CPI data drop and not give out, start to base and climb, then we'll likely see VIX stay below 18.5, get back below 18 where the daily 21 sits, get below 17.5 so that it's back below the daily 8, daily 15, and make the drop to 17, 16.5. To get back down through some of the lows of last week. Maybe back to Monday's low around 15.5, 16. But there is a wide 2-hour squeeze that spans from 18.3 down to 16.75. We could likely stay in that range today, heading into PPI tomorrow. So, that's it for prep today. Hopefully everybody found this helpful. Thanks for tuning in. If you're new to Predicted Trade, there's a link in the description of this video so you can join our Discord server for free and start to learn our system. We provide a tool every day to put on your equity, your futures, but mainly your options charts. Our tool provides support and resistance levels on your options charts so that we always know the best spots to buy and sell. Overall, one more quick recap on ES. We made it up to the daily squeeze top before FOMC. We fell back to the daily squeeze bottom after FOMC, and now we've popped back up into the middle for CPI and PPI this week. Should we have negative reactions, start to sell, target back down to daily squeeze bottom, daily 50, maybe further. It is the old sell in May and go away, right? But if we can continue to hold up, if buyers remain strong, we could make another push back up to this 4,200 and top of the daily squeeze. So patience today. Let's see how the reaction goes. And I'll post more thoughts in the room after the data drops at 8:30. But thanks for tuning in, folks, and we'll see everybody in the chat.